Standing up here, I may need Burl's little stool. I'm a little short. Today, I wanted to touch on some things that I know I struggle with, that we've all felt, that we've all dealt with, but sometimes we just need reminded what the Bible says about it, how to handle it, and how to move on with life. So something that really troubles me is letting stuff get to me. People's words, people's actions, how they portray things, how they talk to other people, how things are seen. So I get angry. We've all felt it. We've all felt that fire inside where you just want to twist somebody's head off. It happens. But the Bible is very specific on what it says about anger. And what it says is it's okay to be angry. So in Proverbs 16:32 reads, "Whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city." Proverbs 22:24, "Make no friendship with a man given to anger, nor go with a wrathful man." As I look at these two selections, we shouldn't be angry. We shouldn't be quick to anger, quick to wrath, or an eye for an eye, as the old Bible said. That's not how we should be. We should edify and lift up people, take in their anger, and try to help them. As Burl read, which will be also a second part to this that touches on our mouths, because that is the worst thing we have on us. "Be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger, for it does not lead to the righteousness of God." Be quick to hear. We should always be listening to what people have to say to us and what people have to say to others. Slow to speak. We should always watch what we say or think about it before it spews out of our mouth. Slow to anger. As quick as it takes us in the snap of a second to get angry about something and do something irrational, it takes a man of God or a woman of God or somebody with patience of a saint to sit there and think about it before we act on it. For it says this does not lead to the righteousness of God. We're not edifying God if we're quick to slap somebody upside the head for doing us wrong. This is not, I felt it. I know a few of us in here have dealt with it here lately, that we should always think before we act upon this, because sometimes the repercussions of what we do doesn't just affect us, it affects everything and everyone around us. So on the second side of this, anger is just one side of it that touches. That we, as humans, are angry. That there's only one that was never angry. And they tested him. They tested his patience. They tested his kindness. But he was never angry. He never did the wrong thing. He never said the wrong thing. With that said, the second side of this coin is about our tongues. Because as quick as we are to anger, God has given us two of everything: 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 ears, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, but 1 mouth and 1 tongue. Because that is the one thing we only need one of to ruin everything really fast. And I am the worst about it. I will promise you that I am quick to spout off something that I'm like, why did I say that? And where did that come from? Real quick. And then I have to think, that is not how I'm supposed to be as a Christian and how I'm supposed to be a leader. Ephesians 4:29 reads, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may be beneficial to those who listen." Right there it says we should be lifting each other up. In word, in spirit, we should edify others. Think of others before you do this. before you speak, before you act, before you anger. It's going to affect not just you, but other people. Matthew 15:11 reads, "What goes into someone's mouth does not defile them, but what comes out of their mouth, that is what defiles them." Think before you speak. Because as we speak, it could be real fast to cutting somebody down, to tearing them apart, saying something hurtful or not edifying to lift them up. Titus 3:1-2 reads, "Remind the people to be subject to rulers' authorities, to be obedient, to be ready to do whatever is good. Slander no one. Peaceable and considerate, and always be gentle towards everyone." Our tongue is like a fork. You can either, like a snake's tongue, you can either be thoughtful, kind, slow to speak about what you have to say, think about it before it comes out of your mouth. Or you can spout off the first hateful, nasty thing that runs through your mind that could ruin somebody's day, that could affect everybody around you. Proverbs 12:13-14. "Evildoers are trapped by their sinful talk, and so the innocent escape trouble. Fruit from the lips, people are filled with good things, and the works of their hands bring them reward." What kind of fruit do we have coming out of our mouth? Is it a growing fruit that's the sun is shining on, that's being watered, that's lifting people up? Or is it a dying fruit that everything that runs out of your mouth is negative, that you have nothing good to say, nothing lifting to say? We need to be thinking about this as we walk through our day-to-day life, that not only it's how we're portrayed as people, but you're not only representing yourself, but you're representing a congregation of people that we here in the church, we are looked at as people of God. That you're not representing yourself, that you're also representing everybody in the church when you speak. And if something hateful, deceitful, double-handed, if every other word out of your mouth is a four-letter word that is not edifying, you are looked at like, man, he goes to this church. We may not want to attend there, or we might want to go there if that's how they're going to be. So we need to think before we speak, no matter what the circumstances are. And I remember a time when I was younger, that this was brought to me by my grandfather, who now I wish I'd have listened to a little better. But I thought it was the funnest thing in the world, or it made you cool to say those kind of words and be that kind of person. Every time something happened, that bad words would come out, or I'd say something deceitful. And I watched him ram a screwdriver full blade underneath his finger one day. And I never heard one word come out of that man's mouth. And I was like, "Doesn't that hurt?" And he looked at me, he said, "Yes, it hurts." And I was like, man, I'd have some choice words. And he's like, what does that solve? What does that lift up? What does it prove? Does it make you feel big to say stuff, to hurt somebody, to cut somebody down, or to say that stuff? He's like, do you feel like more of a man? No, I don't. And it doesn't make me feel better to say it or act on it or do it. And now that I'm older and I read the Bible, because I did not back then, I understand what he meant and what he said by this. And I was like, maybe the older generation's onto something. James 1:19-20. Know this, my beloved brothers, that every person is quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger, for the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. This is what Burl read, and I've read it with anger. It applies to your mouth too. Slow to speak. Think about it. No matter what's going on, think before you speak. I've heard that for 20 years. Think before you open your mouth, because not everything that comes out of your mouth is good. But if you think about it, you have time to process. You have time to think before you let it come out. That way, what you have to say is uplifting or good to people. That it doesn't come out as stupid. Because I've always been told that when you are that kind of person or say those kind of things, it doesn't make you look big, it makes you look stupid. I'm starting to understand that as I get old. Matthew 12:36 and 37 reads, I tell you that on the day of judgment, people will account for every careless word they speak, for by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. We should speak not deceit, for he's listening and he knows what we're saying. This goes for our actions too. He knows how we act, how we react, how we handle situations. If we're being Christians and we're handling it in a manner that is righteous to God, or if we're being heathens and letting the devil take over our thoughts and our actions, and if we're not being that good person that we need to be. I've been there. I've been that good person that's quick to slap somebody right upside the head and be like, I feel better. But it doesn't make it right. It doesn't. There's other ways to handle things, and as you take your walk through life, you have to learn how to handle things in a different manner, because once again, it doesn't just affect one of us. It could affect all of us. It could affect you. It could affect your family. It could affect others. We have to be better Christians. And I'm going to tell you right now, not pointing any fingers, I'm the world's worst about this, about not thinking before I do these things. And I really have to catch myself. Colossians 3:7 and 8. In these you too once walked, when you were living in them, but now you must put them all away. Anger, wrath, malice, slander, and obscene talk from your mouth. He wants us to think before we speak and put it all away. He wants us to be uplifting in everything that we do. You don't know how somebody's day's going or how they're doing in life. You don't know what's going on. And one little thing could send them over the edge. And the world doesn't have enough God in it for us to be like this, that we should always be uplifting, that we should try to lead them that way instead of cutting people down, because it's quick for people to turn and take a turn for the worse. One little word we say could be the thing that sends them over to the edge. Too many school shootings or suicides or people doing wrong things. We should lift people up. Proverbs 16:24. Gracious words are like a honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the body. And as this is the last one I'm going to read, it really grabbed me. Because it says, gracious words are like a honeycomb. And if you've ever had Roy's honey off a honeycomb, it's really good. It's sweet. It goes good with anything. Ayla's too back there. She has excellent honey, by the way. It is sweetness to the soul and health to your body. And if you know anything about honey, honey has healing powers. Because it does carry pollens. It helps with allergies. It helps with a lot of things in life. It's good for you. It says right here, gracious words are just like that. If you're saying something nice to somebody, if you're being edifying and saying, man, Kevin, that sweater looks great today, brother. Or just something nice to somebody, you could make their day. And instead of turning their day from this horrible thing that could lead to tragedy, you could take their day and lift it straight up to the heavens. You could talk to them about God. You could talk to them about life. You could talk to them about something that's going on somewhere in the world. But all we can do is be better every day at Christians and think about this and think about how anger consumes so much of the world and how anger consumes us so fastly. But it takes a bigger man and woman to stop and think about this before we act on it. It takes a better Christian to edify and lift up and be more godlike, then I'm going to tell you right now, I'm the first to do this. I'm the first to lose my head. But it takes a bigger person to stop and think about it, to lift one another up, to help lift up the day. As Christians, we should always be thinking about this, follow through, reading the Word, see what God has to say about it. Those that aren't Christians can become one by following the death, the burial, and the resurrection, the cross, the igloo, and the arrow of Christ. For His Son died for us and wants us to be 110% with Him and to lead everybody we can with Him. And we can do that through edifying words and our actions and showing them how we are and how we speak. So with that said, would you please stand with me as we sing a song of encouragement?